In this video, I'm going to show you how you can stop wasting your mornings and how you can make your mornings work for you instead of work against you. The very first thing I want you to do before we even start anything is to ask yourself, what does a productive morning look like? The problem with a lot of us is, want to be productive, want a productive morning, want to stop wasting time. But if we ask ourselves, what does a productive morning look like? What does being productive even mean? And a lot of us who have been brainwashed with social media and everything, that we don't even know what we want. We just assume it should just be productive, like good habits should be part of it, which is true, which is still good, which is still better than just wasting around and doing everything. But you have to actually get specific and know exactly what we are looking for. If you are trying to shoot at something and everywhere is dark, you are just shooting around, you won't be able to see, so you are basically wasting a lot of bullets and resources. But if you can see your targets and you know exactly what you are looking for, you can aim at it and fire, which is going to save a lot more resources. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of the way and you have actually taken a step back to actually think about what a productive morning looks like for you, the very next thing I need you to do is you are going to curate your morning depending on the type of day you are going to have. So for example, if it's just going to be another maybe average day of going to school, for example, and you're going to wake up by school starts by 8 or 9, then ends by 5 or 4 p.m. or 6, whatever. The morning can be very simple. It can be, okay, maybe before you go to school you do the workouts or you do the assignments or whatever. But if, for example, it's like a weekend and you're not going to go anywhere, there's the whole day, you don't necessarily have to maybe do the workouts in the morning. You can push it to later in the day and do something else in the morning instead. So obviously, if your days are pretty much the same, then you might not really need to do this step. But if your days are usually different, which for a lot of us, our days are kind of vary. Monday could be quite different from Tuesday, and Tuesday could be quite different from Wednesday, and Wednesday also very different from Thursday. You want to also make sure each morning fits the type of day, because you cannot create a morning routine or a morning structure that fits like Monday and try to use it on Wednesday. It might not necessarily work out. So try to use the one for Friday and try to use it on Sunday. It might also not work out. So you have to make sure each day, that's if they vary. But if your days are the same, then this doesn't really mean. But if your days vary, you want to make sure each particular day, the activities you're going to do in the morning actually benefits the day. So the next thing I want you to do now is to identify basically the free time you have in the morning before you basically don't have free time again. So obviously, if you are living by yourself, like if you don't really have a job or school and you have your time to yourself, might not necessarily need to do this. But if you have school, if school starts by, let's say, 8, for example, and you need to leave the house at like 7:30, so that means you basically have from maybe 7:29 till maybe whenever you wake up. So you want to pay attention to that time. So if you're going to wake up by, if you're going to leave the house by 7:30, you try to wake up by 4 or 5 a.m. so you still have about an hour or 2 hours to do stuff. So if it's like a weekend that you're not necessarily going anywhere, you have like a whole morning to do whatever you want to do. You just also want to pay attention to the timing. Okay, now since we now know basically the time, the next thing we're going to do is to fill this time with activities. And the thing I would say is to fill it with maximum 2 activities. But the very first thing before you choose any random activity is to only choose activities that are actually important for you. So for example, if the season in your life you're in right now, maybe school and exams and all these things is important, you want to make sure your mornings you're basically using it to study, using it to read and do all these things, rather than using it to sweep your room, for example. And if vice versa, if maybe the season you're in right now, getting fit and building muscle and all that is like the priority, you want to use it that morning to actually work out and go on a run and do all these things rather than using it to study. So you want to identify the season of your life you are in. You want to identify the era you are in, and make sure the activity you place in the morning is actually important, because you don't want to put a less important activity. The thing about the mornings is that for at least a lot of people, everything about you is at like 100%. Like when you wake up, it's almost like you are giving 100% of energy, willpower, brain points, whatever. As soon as you wake up and you start to do things, this energy starts to drop, this willpower starts to drop, all these things start to deplete. So if you have like a very important activity and you are not putting it in this morning, it doesn't really make any sense. And that's why you want to avoid bad habits. Like you want to avoid just waking up and the first thing you do is to just grab your phone and start scrolling. Like that's one of the last things you want to do, because when you do this, the crazy thing is that the willpower that is going to go from just scrolling on your phone and the willpower that is going to go from maybe doing workouts, for example, is going to be pretty much the same. Like you might think that because you work out, you're going to use more like willpower and brain power than, you know, using your phone. But the ironic thing is that they like equal amounts leaves. So if equal amount is going to leave, you might as well choose the thing that is better for you. So basically, you want to choose the important activities. The max I would recommend is 2. I don't feel like you should do more than 2. More than 2 activities to me, I feel like it's like you should just space those ones out for the rest of the day. So you're going to wake up maybe 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. something crazy like that. That's depending on maybe how tight your schedule is. But if your schedule is not super tight, just if possible, just do one thing. Maybe you just wake up and you work out. You just wake up and you study. You just wake up and you pray. You just wake up and you read. You just wake up and you write. So the lesser, the better. And the very last thing is to build as you go. One thing I like to believe a lot is that you kind of figure it out as you go. You can't you can't get it perfectly. Also, what might work for you today might not work for you tomorrow. What worked for you yesterday might not work today. When you try some type of habit, so you try and wake up early, you try and wake up late, you try and wake up an hour earlier, you try and wake up 30 minutes earlier, 2 hours earlier, whatever. You want to just watch out for what works and what doesn't work. Because as you're doing this, some things will obviously stick and some things wouldn't. Some things, you will find them very valuable and others you wouldn't. And won't just, this piece of advice I've given you. Some things I've said you'll find it valuable while others you wouldn't. I want you to also realize that basically this thing you are doing is for you. This thing you are doing is for your life. This schedule you are building is to enhance your life, not my life. Obviously I'm giving you the advice and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's for you. So if what you're doing is not working for you, then there's no point of doing it. Basically, you don't want to get stuck in one particular box or bubble. You want to always evolve and be open to trying new things and just experiment quite a lot. Find out what works for you, what doesn't work. If you're even a morning person, if you're a night person, if you like working out first thing in the morning, if you like working out last thing in the night, just find out what works for you and build as you go. And if you can do all these things, your mornings are going to become 10 times more productive than they are right now. By the way, if you're in a rut now and you're finding it difficult to get back on your feet and get back in the grind and get back to the flow of things, I've actually created a program that is going to help you do just that. If you're interested in that, if this is a problem you're facing and you actually need a solution, just click the first link in the description of this video.